Well, you knew it was going to be coming, and now Ford announced 2023 they're going to have a Ford F-150 electric vehicle. And they want to do it right because if you've been watching me, you realize that Ford makes like 90% of their profit selling F-150s. So they don't want to screw it up. Well, they got that deal where they invested $500 million in Rivian, the electric truck company in Michigan, and Amazon put $1 billion in. They're going to be making the Amazon delivery trucks, like 150,000 of us electric trucks. Well, I'm sure that they'll use the same platform and they can make the Ford trucks because Ford's got all that money invested. They got a deal where they use the same platform and then it splits production to two sides. One side does one thing, one does the other to finish them up. Now, Ford says they're not going to make some futuristic crazy thing like the Tesla Cybertruck. They want to make a real truck. It'll probably look just like the truck today because that's the style that people want. Now, they say ownership costs for the electrified vehicle will be half what it is for the gas truck. Now, they're not talking the cost of the vehicle, of course, because they're going to be expensive. There's no doubt in that. They're talking about the running and maintenance costs, and that only makes sense because electricity is cheaper than gasoline, and electric vehicles don't need the maintenance and repairs that gasoline vehicles do. All you have is a battery and electric motors, and they want to make a work truck out of it, not some fancy gimmick like Tesla stuff. To quote the Ford CEO, he says, "Simply put, this isn't a gimmick. It's a workhorse, not a show horse destined for a shiny garage filled with 4 other luxury cars. They want to make a serious work electric truck." Now, of course, electric trucks can pull an awful lot. You might not realize it, but mid-1900s, my grandfather was a mechanic. At the time, he was a mechanic at Shredded Wheat, Nabisco Shredded Wheat in Niagara Falls. They had electric trucks then in the factory. They weren't stuff that could go a million miles. They had regular old car batteries then hooked together, and they recharged them at night because they didn't want explosions. When you have silos full of flour, boy, they can blow up like gunpowder, so they used the electric trucks. They didn't have ignition systems on gasoline or diesel motors, and that only makes sense. So they've been around quite some time. It makes sense to a truck because they got a lot of torque. Ford's planning on about 450 horsepower for these things and 500 pound-feet of torque. Of course, they'll be able to carry a lot, tow a lot. Electric motors work from the get-go. You don't need to rev them up. So you can pull stuff. You can tow stuff. They want to make a serious work truck. Now, since they're not going to be having them out until 2023, they got time to really perfect the thing. By then, who knows where battery technology will be. Maybe by 2023, there'll be more electrical charging systems so you can drive them. Better batteries that have longer ranges. Tesla's claiming that they're going to have a 1,000,000-mile battery by then. Hey, if you buy this truck and pay a lot of money, if it has a battery that's going to last 1,000,000 miles, there's another plus. So, interesting. I can't wait to see when they get them out in 2023, they can send some to Scotty and out road test them. Well, here we go, people. All the people in La La Land in California. California now plans to ban new gas and diesel cars by 2035. Now, that's 15 years from now. They plan on banning new gas and diesel cars. They're not saying you can't drive your old ones. And since some of them, if you got a Toyota, might last 30 years, well, then that might be 2065 when they actually ban them. Who knows what's going to happen by then? What happened was the governor, Gavin Newsom in California, issued an executive order on Wednesday directing the state to require all new vehicles on sale by 2035, that's 15 years from now, have 0 emissions. Now, this is different than some of the other rules they made that are, for big old diesel trucks and stuff. This targets private passenger cars and trucks as well as medium and heavy-duty vehicles. But, get this. Here's his rule on that. The medium and heavy-duty vehicles, the big 18-wheelers and stuff, they don't have to reach the 0% target by 2045. So that's 25 years in the future. No, we're really talking futurism here now. And since this is a prospective ban for the future and not a retrospective one where they can ban stuff that was made in the past, it's really not going to affect people for quite some time. So California's at it again, trying to ban stuff. But it's way, way in the future. Who knows what's going to happen by then? Maybe people will be happier with electric cars by then, and they'll make them so they can go 400 or 500 miles, and they'll be able to recharge them in 15 minutes. Or that people will just do battery exchanges where you drive your electric car, and when you're running low, you go in and you swap that battery for another battery. Who knows what's going to happen by then? But they got this plan that they're going to ban the sale of them in 2035. So we'll see how the future goes. If I'm still around 10 years from now. I doubt if I'm going to be living in California, though. It's too expensive there. Here we go, more executive cheating. BMW was just fined $18 million for inflating their U.S. monthly sale figures. Doesn't that just fit what's going on? They kept a reserve of unreported sales that it drew on so it could meet monthly targets in the United States of sales from 2015 to 2019. Now, here's how they got caught. They disclosed this information because they were raising $18 billion in separate corporate bond offering. Now, since they have to tell all their accurate information to investors, they had to squeal on themselves. Well, they're trying to get bonds for $18 billion, and they were fined $18 million. Sounds kind of like a ripoff to me. Oh, no, don't do that again. No. They cheated in other ways, too. They also said that BMW paid dealers to designate that vehicles they have on the lot were demonstrators or loaner cars, so they can be counted as sales cars. Even though they weren't, they were just sitting on the lot, nobody was using them for anything, but they were designated as either loaner cars or demonstration cars, and those kind of sales. So even though the cars were just sitting there, nobody bought them, they weren't using them as loaners, they said that they were sold to inflate their figures to make them look better. Now, as usual, BMW of North America and BMW's U.S. capital, their money guys, they did not admit or deny the findings of the Security Exchange, but they agreed to pay the fine and stop violating the laws, what they're able to get away with in court. And then BMW says much of the contact happened more than 3 years ago, and it occurred due to negligence. Oh, it was just they were negligent. Yeah, sure, they were negligent and not pretending these cars were being driven as loaners or show cars when they were just sitting on a lot unused. And they say, and I quote them, "The BMW Group attaches great importance to the correctness of its sales figures and will continue to focus on the thorough and consistent reporting of sales." Well, they did it in the past. Why would they change now? Let's see, if you get $18 billion in loans and you're only fined $18 million, I imagine they will continue doing this stuff. And if you remember, last year, Fiat Chrysler paid a $40 million settlement to the SEC because they were overinflating their sales over a 5-year period. And they get all this other money. I'm sure they're going to continue doing this. It's cheaper for them to do business this way. Let's follow the money. They never tell you where that fines go, where that money goes. Like the Volkswagen fine. A lot of the money that Volkswagen was fined for cheating with the diesel scandal went to create Electrify America, which is a charging stations they're going to build over the country for charging electric cars that Volkswagen owns, and eventually they will make a profit on that too. So these fines, it's not like somebody said you got to pay a $5,000 fine and you got to fork out $5,000. I'd love to know what's going to happen with this money, because they hardly ever follow up on it. Just, oh, they paid this fine. Yeah, to whom and where did it go? I'd like to see what actually happens, but nobody ever follows up on that. Well, if you're thinking about electric cars, you might look at a 2020 Nissan Leaf, because I have customers with older Nissan Leafs, and they were pretty happy with them. But a lot of times here in Houston with air conditioning and stuff, their range was about 70 miles, which isn't very far. They worked okay. They didn't break down. The customers didn't mind a short range. The commuters in town were happy with them. But the new Leaf Plus in 2020 has a range of 226 miles. Now that is a range that a lot of people can live with. And they also have more power. They've also improved the regenerative brakes. They're so strong that you can have it set so when you take your foot off the brake, the car will actually stop itself without you even touching the brake pedal and regenerate even more electricity so it can go even further. Now, they do have a downside like all electric cars. Even if you have a 240 volt level 2 charger at your house, it's going to take 11 and a half hours to recharge this battery. They are not fast rechargers. And if you go level 1 and charge your car with just your house with 110 volts, it takes 30 hours to recharge the battery. So that's still the downside of these electric cars. And if you live near one of these 50 kilowatt DC chargers like the supercharger stations, it can charge it up to 80% in about 45 minutes. Still, you got to be near one of those chargers. If you're plugging it at home, it takes quite some time, even with 240 volts on it. You're still looking at 11 and a half hours to recharge the thing. And of course, realize the Leaf is basically an economy car. They're pretty basic inside, nothing super fancy. They don't ride all that great. They're kind of clunky ride. Top end one that has the highest range, they're $45,000. They're not cheap cars. I still don't comprehend. Why doesn't somebody just make a small, cheap one and go that route? They keep charging a ton of money for these cars that really, aren't that great inside. And there really isn't all that much difference to any of them price-wise. The Chevy Bolt is pushing 40 grand. The Hyundai Kona Electric is $39,000. They're not cheap cars, even though they don't really look to be all that well made. And like I say, they don't ride all that well either. They're kind of bumpy, clunky. But, if you want a car that's got more range, you want a clunky little electric car, do you really want to spend 40 grand for this thing? The Chinese are already bringing in stuff that's $10,000. I would hold up on that. I wouldn't go and buy one myself. But if you want to buy one that has a long range, my customers with Leafs are happy. They did not break down. They were okay, but still pretty expensive. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.